Tzu Chi hosts a large-scale rice distribution for the poor in City Soleil's Boston community. To prepare for the year-end ceremonies, Tzu Chi Hospital staff assemble red envelope of blessing and wisdom. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Marilee Shoda. Thank you for joining us. Recently in Haiti, Tzu Chi held a large-scale rice distribution for the slum community of Boston in City Soleil. The distribution, which took place at a local kindergarten, helped over 1,000 families. And thanks to the help of local volunteers and the cooperation of the recipients, everything went smoothly. On this day in Haiti, Tzu Chi is hosting a large-scale rice distribution. Although it's a national holiday, volunteers still number at 197. Staff of the St. Antonio Kindergarten stand at the entrance checking the recipient's rice voucher before welcoming the 1,105 households from the slums of Boston section onto the campus. Each household is given 3 bags of rice from Taiwan, which is why there are 2 freight trucks at the school. Thankfully, no one got hurt when one tipped slightly. Tzu Chi's presence in Haiti has changed the local residents' attitude. Now volunteers take it upon themselves to clean up, and the residents donate what they can back to Tzu Chi. The recipients line up in an orderly fashion and wait patiently for their turn while expressing gratitude to one another.
Merci Taiwan! Merci Tzu Chi! Merci Tzu Chi!
Also, I want to thank you, our police officers. Give them a big hand. Father Tzu Chi.
Taking the 30 kilograms of rice back home, these recipients are glad Tzu Chi is in their life. In the aftermath of the devastating earthquake in Mexico, staff members from the Tzu Chi Foundation have gone to Xochimilco to prepare for aid supply distribution. 3 young staff members are now double-checking the roster and visiting every family to ensure the supplies will reach those in need.
Staff of Tzu Chi Foundation is establishing the roster of disaster victims in Xochimilco. They visit the families and double-check the information to make sure the relief supplies can reach those in need.
They know that we've come here for no other reason. They might not be familiar with our faces, but we are emotionally connected to each other. We hope that before we deliver supplies or monetary aid to the people, we can first comfort them.
It is estimated that 2,800 to 3,000 households in Xochimilco will receive the aid supplies. In San Gregorio's, the staff has finished about half of the rostering checking work, but they still need the help of a large number of volunteers.
After we have interaction with many local volunteers, they now trust us. In the future, we also hope we can hold volunteer training here so more people can know Tzu Chi. We hope by the time we finish checking the roster, there will be a lot of volunteers.
To conduct disaster assessment in Mexico, 3 young people from Tzu Chi have shouldered the responsibility of establishing the roster and preparing for the aid distribution.
Let
me explain this, or people might mistakenly think we are not doing our job, but being apathetic to using the phone. The volunteers speak Spanish. We are afraid we can't read their handwriting. In addition, when number of thousands of households come, they will be more accurate if we present them in a graphic form. By doing this, we can save a lot of time and energy in the future.
Our abilities and experience might be limited, but the direction that the Master gave us is simply being sincere to the disaster victims. We need to be sincere to the people here. With courage to move forward, we can succeed.
How can we earn the trust of so many people? Of course, we are afraid and worried. However, the 3 young staff members and local volunteers have given us much strength. We cannot believe that we've done this much. We are learning to shoulder responsibilities. We are very grateful to the Master.
Thailand is now in its monsoon season. Ban Plap Township, located near the Chao Phraya River, experiences frequent flooding because it is located in a low-lying area and is downstream of a reservoir which frequently discharges water. As some 280 households have been affected, Tzu Chi donated 33 plastic boats to this community, hoping to solve some of their problems.
The volunteers have to wade into the water with their waterproof pants before they enter Bumplop Township. This area usually suffers from floods during Thailand's monsoon season, which is from May to October of each year.
They have no problem crossing this area. They don't have this prefabricated bridge, and if they want to go inside the community, they have to rely on the waterway. Therefore, they may need boats.
As Bumplop Township in Ayutthaya Province is located in the low-lying area of Chao Phraya River and the Chao Phraya Reservoir, which discharges water when the water level rises, leading local residents to experience flooding in the rainy season.
The affected residents who live here have difficulty crossing this area, so they hope we can provide them with 30 boats. We'll also donate the 3 boats we left here in 2011.
Among the 480-some households in Bumplop Township, 280 families have been affected by the flooding. On this day, Tzu Chi volunteers give plastic boats to local residents, hoping to solve the inconvenience in their life.
We will lend flood victims the boats donated by Tzu Chi. Maybe 3 or 4 households will share 1 boat. After the water recedes, the flood victims will return the boats to us. Next time when the flood occurs, they can make an application for borrowing.
After getting our merchandise ready, we will sell them on the boat. It allows us to do business to get by. Without this boat, we can't do anything during a flood.
The boat is very helpful to us. Every Friday, my brother usually waits to a mosque to pray. From now on, they can row the boat there, which is more convenient.
With the plastic boats, the residents no longer need to wait. This not only reduces their risk of suffering from skin diseases, but it also helps restore their livelihood.
In Taiwan, a senior lives in an old house in Tainan City's South District. As her house hasn't been repaired for many years, the roof collapsed after a recent typhoon. Worried the senior's home may flood on rainy days, the borough head asked Tzu Chi volunteers to help repair the roof.
Clearing out the broken tiles and putting them in bags. Can you imagine there used to be a complete roof here?
After it rains, the roof tiles may absorb water, which increases its weight. See, the roof is supported by this beam only. If we do not repair it as soon as possible, this part may collapse at any time.
Half of the old house's roof collapsed when a recent typhoon struck this area. This 17-some-years-old senior who lives here has changed her sleeping place to the living room sofa.
Since she lives alone, it's not convenient for her to live like this. So I went to the community's care center to ask Tzu Chi volunteers for help. I invited them to come here to assess damage and see whether they can help repair this house.
After volunteers complete the cleanup work, this iron worker also spared his time to help repair this house because it is said that a typhoon has just formed. After the volunteers worked with the community's iron worker to improve the senior's living environment, now the senior is no longer afraid of raining days, and she also feels at ease to live in her house.
Driftwood can be a major problem when it blocks reservoirs and even affecting farming when it accumulates on land. However, driftwood can also bring benefits to the natural ecology. For example, when driftwood decays in the forest, the process releases nitrogen and other essential nutrients for fish and plants. Follow our report as we look at the benefits of driftwood.
Typhoon, tens of thousands of pieces of driftwood line this coast. Taiwan being surrounded by the sea in all directions, driftwood is now becoming another part of the landscape. This is Yunlin's Sihu Township coastline, where we can see in the background that this driftwood has been stacked up over the years and is slowly deteriorating, becoming nutrition for a number of intertidal creatures. Driftwood's composition includes cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. These substances, when subject to decomposition and rainfall, enter the soil and groundwater, taking them into nearby streams, ultimately creating many benefits to the forest ecosystem.
如果它不是很密布，那有影响。
If driftwood is not too dense and doesn't affect the landscape or health, then we don't want to use artificial means to clear it away, instead leading it to return to nature.
If driftwood does not affect the riverbed, traffic, or safety, the government will consider it a harmless natural resource and will not clear it away. Leaving the driftwood in the environment can benefit local ecology.
You can see that this is rotting, and the driftwood will slowly be subject to microbes, which will release carbon and nitrogen. In these areas, bacteria is very active and helping create biodiversity. In fact, the ecology of this place is very good. We can use driftwood as a slow-acting fertilizer.
Carbon and nitrogen are nutrients for plant growth. However, they cannot be absorbed directly from the air, as carbon dioxide and nitrogen must pass through the roots, which ingest carbon and nitrogen through the soil. The forest carbon and nitrogen come from mainly leaves on the ground, but sometimes this nutritional supply isn't enough, with driftwood also contributing, which increases carbon and nitrogen.
If driftwood slowly breaks down, it releases nutrients, for example, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium. What do these things do? They're used for plants for photosynthesis and aids in physiological metabolism.
After Typhoon Morakot, Zhongxing University conducted research on driftwood and found that each hectare of woodland, the amount of annual driftwood carbon offset is equivalent to 25 Taiwanese people. Driftwood is beneficial to the ecology and does not directly harm human life, with the immediate removal of broken branches and trees potentially causing second injury to mountain forests.
We are now going to go clear driftwood away, sometimes needing to open a road into this area to clear it away, and which can cause further damage to the environment.
However, once driftwood invades an environment inhabited by humans, it must be dealt with immediately. Driftwood and debris flow has disturbed the scenery of slopes surrounding Sunmoon Lake and nearby Huanhu Road.
整个2公顷的一个坡面啊，本来是一个裸露地。
These 2 hectares of the slope were affected by a landslide, and later we put up barriers or fencing on this slope about every 10 meters, along with trenches where we planted native tree species. This has given more stability to the slope, which has been good and has aided in soil and water conservation.
水土保持的一个功能。
Some of this driftwood has been used to aid soil conservation efforts. This landslide made this creek very wide, and after some natural remediation efforts, a sort of dam has been created here with driftwood to prevent future landslides when typhoon rains come to further protect against soil erosion.
用木构造来 做成了一些节制坝。
We use these stocks to make control dams. This type of wood construction method is similar to protecting the slope and equivalent to using drainage ditches with very good effect.
是有很好的一个效果。
Abandoned driftwood can be used to create a sort of fencing around riverbeds to ensure streams won't overrun their banks. This ecological park completed such work 7 years ago, and rain following typhoons has proved these efforts have helped stabilize soil, leading to greater biodiversity.
Driftwood has become a vital nutrient here, where many trees now grow, as this area is now a vibrant forest. But after Typhoon Morakot, this area was barren because of a mudslide. How do we know these driftwood structures have benefited this area? By releasing nutrients into the soil. We use the soil sampling tube to monitor these conditions and have found nutrient concentration to increase.
Decaying driftwood can release nutrients into the soil and lead seeds to bud and potentially overcome man-made disasters. Using these dead trees to give life back to the earth proves that even if there is still a viable use for driftwood. And in our next segment, we will see how driftwood can be turned into furniture, art, and even renewable sources of energy.
In preparation for the year-end blessing ceremonies, Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital staff gathered at the Xingdian Jingsi Hall to make red envelope of blessing and wisdom. While making them, the staff had to remain focused and be attentive with every step.
The red envelopes of blessing and wisdom for Tzu Chi's 52nd anniversary uses the image of Xindian Jinshi Hall on the front, so the staff of Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital feel very close to it. This morning, Superintendent Zhao Youcheng leads a group of hospital staff to the Xindian Jinshi Hall to make the red envelopes. Wearing white gloves, they must do every step attentively.
Because you're correct, we can follow the master and do right things. If you're wrong, we'll be wrong too. Then I realized this is very important.
The $1 coin in the red envelope symbolizes the new beginning of everything. While making the red envelopes, the superintendent also encourages everyone to be diligent with their work.
Starting from today, I will plan ways to lead the hospital forward, providing better care to the patients.
The red envelope of blessing and wisdom is the master's expectation and blessing to everyone. While making the red envelopes, the hospital staff try to experience the master's teachings and also encourage each other to be diligent.
When 38-year-old Shi Jinshun was young, his classmate threw a blackboard eraser at him. After the chalk powder entered his eyes, he did not take care to clean his eyes and became blind. Despite such misfortunes in life, Shi hopes he can help more people.
Every morning, Shi Jinshun has to take 3 buses from Zhanghua to the hospital in Taichung to do massaging work. These old customers fans for him to keep him cool. When Shi Jinshun was in junior high school, a classmate played a prank on him and made him blind, but he has looked past it.
I accepted his apology. I knew he didn't do it on purpose.
He not only goes out alone to work, he is also very independent and he can cook meals at home. Despite his disability, Shi Jinshun lives a free life. As for the incident, it can be avoided.
After it hit my eyes, I didn't know, so I used water to wash my eyes. Then my eyes felt hot and stinging. The doctor could not treat my eyes. Then my vision became blurry.
His vision worsened and eventually he became blind. In the early days, the chalks were made with calcium oxide. The chemical became hard when it melts in water.
It contains calcium oxide. When it melts in water, it will become calcium hydroxide, and it also release a lot of heat.
It's like causing burns. Chemicals are the same, with alkaline matter being the worst because it can cause blood shortage in the area.
The doctor indicated that it is correct to wash one's eyes if acid or alkaline matters enter the eyes, but the washing must go on for over 15 minutes. Shi Jinshun probably didn't wash his eyes long enough, and thus the chemical produced heat in his eyes. His eyes were not well treated, so they became blind. Right now, chalks are not made with calcium oxide, so they are not as dangerous like before.
8 years ago, Ding Jihua found out he had acute leukemia. While undergoing chemotherapy, he lost weight and became very pessimistic. Fortunately, a matching stem cell donor was found and Ding's life was saved. This life-changing experience taught both the donor and recipient how precious life really is.
Ding Jihua, who works as an engineer in Silicon Valley, recalls the life-changing experience he had in Taiwan.
Our time in the world is limited and absolutely shorter than we imagine. I think unless one knocked at death's door, people usually think they won't die.
8 years ago, Ding was an amateur car racer and a car advertisement designer. Busy with work, he often felt tired and had diarrhea. After getting a checkup, he found out he had acute leukemia. While undergoing chemotherapy, he lost a lot of weight and became pessimistic.
最痛苦的是，这整个过程中其实一个人都没有太多的。
Most painful part is that we do not have control over the situation. I could only accept it and hope that I would not die during treatment. That was all I could do.
Ding said he felt like he was gambling with his life, waiting for a matching donor to appear. Then in less than a month, he found one.
When I was undergoing chemotherapy, I knew my chance of finding a matching donor. However, when I actually found a matching donor so soon, I felt like there is hope for me.
Hope came from the kindness of this young man.
My mother said there was a life-saving activity, and I thought that is pretty good. I should try it. They told me it is just signing up for a data bank.
He Wenren never thought his signing up at a data bank eventually saved someone's life.
I signed up before I joined the military. In less than a year after I finished my military service, I was notified that there was a match.
He has now started his own family and business. He opened an auto body shop last year. Thinking back, he remembers that he suffered from poor health for half a year after donating his stem cells. Nevertheless, he does not regret donating stem cells because he believes one good turn deserves another.
Maybe one day I will also need other people's help. When that happens, I hope people will help me.
He sacrificed his health, but he saved someone's life. I think this is very meaningful.
This experience is an unforgettable experience for Ding and for He and his wife. They've all learned to cherish their precious lives.
The country Kiribati, which has diplomatic ties with Taiwan, has 2 infants less than a year old who suffer from cleft lip and palate. With a chance opportunity, doctors from Taiwan stationed in the country help the mothers and children travel to Taiwan to receive the surgery the children need. Sleeping in his mother's arms, the scars from Yotaba's surgery is evident on his face. Born in Kiribati, he was affected by cleft lip and palate.
I was worried my child would be affected this way for life.
Langley is another child from Kiribati who has double cleft lip and palate. The 2 are born about a week apart.
When I saw him, I was very worried. There aren't good cosmetic doctors in Kiribati to help children like him.
A medical team from Taiwan that's stationed in Kiribati discovered the 2 families' difficult situation and worked with the government and private organizations to bring them to Taiwan for surgery.
If they weren't able to transfer to Taiwan, then the children would have lived like that for the rest of their life. Or if a free clinic was held in their area, then they could have helped. If children can be transferred to Taiwan, then they can receive much better medical services.
After traveling 9,000 kilometers, the 2 boys received a highly complicated surgical procedure to fix their nose and lip. In the days ahead, there must be more surgeries to repair the internal oral cavity in order to function normally.
If the follow-up procedure isn't done, the boys will still have problems speaking clearly, as well as eating difficulties. We hope to continue to help them.
After the initial surgery, these boys have not only new faces, but there are new opportunities in life. At the end of the program, we join the mixed arts troupe as they perform at a Tzu Chi Humanitarian Center book donation event in Kaohsiung's Xinshang Elementary. As the students saw how these disabled artists can overcome their difficulties in life to be a performer, they knew nothing should stand in their way of pursuing their dreams with their abled bodies. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time.